Hey, I want to ask you, how's your prayer life? A lot of times we may not feel like praying. We might be tired. We might be just exhausted. Or maybe we just don't know where to start, what to do. Maybe that's you. And you just dread if anyone were to say, hey, can you lead us in prayer? And you know that would be maybe the scariest thing ever. Well, here the Word of God helps us. This is Romans 8. We're going to look at verse 26 because this, I think, really outlines like what prayer looks like, and especially when we're weak and when we're feeling kind of out of it. There's a reminder here that the Spirit is the one who is directing this, and it's not about the being eloquent and saying these super spiritual words and all of this stuff. It's talking to God, right? We're going to Him, and we're going to Him because we need Him. We're going to Him because He's our Father, and the Spirit's helping us out with that. Here it is in verse 26. Likewise, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. Right? We do not know what to pray for as we ought, but the Spirit Himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. Right? So the Spirit kind of, He intercedes for us when we don't have the words. God's saying, okay, you may not have the words. You may not know what to say, where to begin, man. It's all too overwhelming. It's all too much, man. We all find ourselves in those situations all the time, right? Far too often for our liking. And here He's going, look, the Spirit's there, going to get those words to God, and this is beyond words. There's an emotion, there's a situation in our lives, but God knows what's going on, and that's the whole point. He just wants us to go to Him, even when we don't know what to say. It's like when you have little children, right? And I remember when my kids were really, really small, and sometimes it even happens with adults now, where there's something happens and you don't even really need to communicate with words because you just know what's going on. You see that person is really sick and really hurting, and you try to figure out, okay, what's really happening? Like, where does it hurt? Like, what's going on? And maybe they hurt too much to even be able to use a word to say, hey, it hurts here, but they might just grunt and point, and that's all that's needed, and that's kind of the whole point. Spirit's like, it's like, I got this. Right? God's not going to leave you alone. God's not going to say, hey, I don't hear what you're saying. There's no such thing as a bad connection when it comes to God. He knows what's happening in our hearts, and He's there to help us time and time again, right? To remind us again that we're loved, to remind us again that Jesus gave His life for us, and that's how much He loves us. He's wiped the slate clean. We are free. So that can begin that healing process for us. That can begin to encourage us to pray, because in Jesus, we now have access to the Father. We're part of His family, and we don't have to worry about whether we're worthy or not, because we know we're not. And we know that He was perfect and died in our place, and that we can go to Him no matter what. So let's do that today. Take some time and pray. Again, it doesn't have to be fancy at all. It's just us pouring our hearts out to the Lord, bringing what we need to Him. So let's do that today. Share this with somebody. Hit that subscribe button. I'm Pastor Fred. This is the follow through. And so, again, I want to encourage you, lean on the Spirit because He's got you. Talk to you next time.